Hello and welcome to another Octo video. Today I'm here with Ian Hart, who is founder of the Unbiased Financial Group. We're going to be talking about artificial intelligence, we're going to be talking about his frustrations with compliance, we're going to be talking about the DB transfer world and all manner of things to do with technology and financial planning. Hi Ian.
Good morning.
Hello. Do you want to just tell me and anybody who's watching this about Unbiased Financial Group, because you've got the business is separated into 4 different divisions almost, isn't it?
Keep it tidy, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the key thing is that I love creating things, I love building things. So I started off as an engineer, a chartered electrical engineer actually, working in technology with Logica many years ago. So I've always wanted to build things. So looking at the group, when I've signed a particular task to a particular part of the group. So I've always been interested in doing something which is quite difficult. So in the early days, I was building computers for people like BT and ICL. I then worked for Chase Manhattan Bank, building money transfer systems for people like the Bundesbank and people like that. Right, so I've always been interested in building and creating things. So when I came out into the IFA world in 2003, I wanted to create something sort of in my image, and I created Unbiased Financial Analysis, which is quite an interesting sort of take, where I'm looking after clients, but also when I'm looking at investments, I'm performance based. Which is quite a rarity, because in the early days, I think the perception of the IFA community wasn't as good as it is today. So hence the reason why I created the Unbiased brand.
Sure.
Right. Just an aside, with nothing to do with unbiased.co.uk, which is a directory.
Yep. I did wonder that when we first met, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but I wanted to use that moniker in some respects because that was in our DNA.
Yeah, that impartiality. Yeah.
So the Unbiased Financial Analysis was a performance-based IFA,
Okay.
and all the other components are separate.
Okay.
So Unbiased Financial Planning, purely holistic IFA.
Yep.
And it's not as biased towards investments. It's much more holistic, very involved with.
So the full suite of products, of course.
Within the group, yes. So we've got Unbiased Financial Planning, which is a holistic IFA. Unbiased Financial Analysis, which is a performance-based IFA.
Yep.
Unbiased Portfolio Management, where we buy individual shares, so we're far more specialist way of doing things. And AI funds, and that's completely different, which is based on funds alone.
We're going to come on to that one a little bit later, but did the portfolio management part come out later? Was the financial planning, the financial analysis the first part?
Financial analysis the first time, yeah, for the first company and so on, and that's probably my DNA.
Okay, so how does one go from electrical engineering to financial planning?
As I said before, I was working with Logica.
Yeah.
And Logica, absolutely fantastic company to work for, absolutely brilliant company. So Chase wanted to build a money transfer system. So it was early in '83, and they persuaded me to move from Logica to them to build a money transfer system. So that's how I got into banking per se.
I see.
But that's far more in the corporate treasury side. And then in '86, after Big Bang, Chase was struggling a little bit, to be honest with you. So my boss and I said, go into the investment banking, young man. And I went to an American outfit called Shearson Lehman, you may have heard of.
Yep.
And I became a derivatives broker. So that's how I came, but primarily it's on the sell side.
I see.
Then I worked for Tullit and Tokyo in the derivatives world. So my background, so on the '87, I was actually on the desk, on the derivatives desk.
Oh, okay.
So that's where my baptism of fire started.
I'll bet, yeah. Wow, interesting. Okay. Now, I want to talk to you about values and ethics and how they kind of form into effectively your brand for the business, because it's something that I think, it is a people business that we operate
Very
in.
much so.
How did you kind of come to those, or did they come to you in a way?
I think it's just an evolution of oneself. I try to hire people in my image in some respects. I have very quite strong morals and strong opinions. Client has got to be centre of everything, and therefore that's how I built Unbiased Financial Analysis. Some of the stuff I saw in the city wasn't as healthy as I liked. Coming out into the IFA world, I also wanted to make a bit of a difference.
Yeah.
So I've hired everybody within the group who have the same ethos. I don't think they would join us or last very long if they didn't have the same ethos.
Okay, great.
And that filters off everybody else, because the team around you is so important.
Okay, so client centricity. What else is sort of at the heart of your business and what it stands for?
I guess transparency. The UFA, the Unbiased Financial Analysis Group, has always been performance-based. So therefore, you can't be performance-based unless you have a benchmark, unless you have every year a full review telling people how you performed. So, and you can only do that by understanding the costs and the charges. So many people in the industry do not understand fund management charges.
It's
really does scare me. It really surprises me. They don't understand. And building the fund that I've just built really has heightened a lot of that.
And do you find where do you get your clients from then? How do you find?
Or word of mouth.
Yeah.
We hired a new RI 4 years ago, and we've used Vouch For and we use Unbiased. I'm not quite sure that's the way I'd like to go. To be honest, I'd much rather have referrals, because we do get Tom, Dick or Harry coming along, and they don't. The thing is with referrals, people actually understand what you do, and therefore it's a really easy sell. And we're getting to a size where I don't really necessarily need more clients.
Okay. Great. So yeah, just give us a bit of an overview then in terms of maybe assets under advice or assets under management. How big is the firm?
Within the different silos, we have around about 120. But that's split into different areas. But everybody's discretionary within the group is how you manage those assets within those particular businesses.
Okay. Now you talked about sort of performance being at the heart of the financial
that's me,
analysis.
but yeah, it's just part of part of the.
Does that translate into your fee structure at all?
Certainly within the UFA, it does. UFP's got a different structure, UPM's got a different structure, and AR's got a different structure. So they've got different structures.
So do you just want to give us like sort of a bit of a breakdown of each?
We'll take the performance one, which is probably different to everybody out there. In the early days, why would anybody give you any money? You have to prove, you've got to earn trust. It takes years to earn trust and seconds to lose it.
Yeah.
So therefore, for me, the essence of it was no initial charges up front. And I only charge a client if I outperform the benchmark.
Okay.
So it's quite an aggressive way of doing things.
Did you find were clients quite receptive to that because it was a slightly different model to maybe what they were used to?
I don't think anybody's used to anything. What was interesting, fun enough, one of my clients, a female client, a bit of a ballsy girl actually, she's got a particular very aggressive mandate, but her husband has got a very cautious mandate, so it's actually quite nice to see it turned around a little bit.
That is nice to hear, yeah.
She has got a performance mandate, he hasn't.
Okay, interesting.
Say something about their relationship, perhaps.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, let's leave that one for another day. Okay, great. So talk me through when you did decide to sort of set up the portfolio management part of the business, and we will come on to the fund because I know it's something that's fairly new. How did you find that process? I'm just thinking about if anybody's watching this thinking, oh, I quite fancy kind of bringing it internal rather than outsourcing. Was it difficult?
I've always had it internal, so from the onset, because my background is I'm a stock exchange register rep, so I've been trading for 30 odd years. So it was a foregone conclusion. I always wanted to be discretionary.
Yeah.
So Peter Cockrove, who worked at Hall Geverta, he understands small stocks, and therefore individual stocks. So therefore he worked with me and another guy called Glyn Williams. Between us, we had quite a strong team.
Yeah.
Adam Parkin also joined us, and Stan Kirk joined us. So we got quite a strong investment team.
Okay.
So it really wasn't difficult to actually go through the regulator. We had the processes, we've got accountants in there, we've got external compliance with Vince Harvey, square cubed, and he helped us, guide us. So actually getting permissions to become discretionary wasn't hard.
Okay.
A lot of people say it's difficult, but then it's like saying, oh, it's difficult to set up a fund. because it's unknown.
Yeah, sure.
The perception is actually quite difficult. If you get stuck in, it's not hard.
And would you offer investment management services to other IFAs?
Yeah, that was the essence of the idea. We started that ball rolling about 10 years ago.
Okay.
But to be honest with you, I couldn't find the energy to go out and sell that particular service to. So you got Charles Stanley, you've got Brooks, you've got Bruin, all those big boys. Unless I do something really quite different, which is the performance side is quite different, right? So that's of interest to people. Mm-hmm. But I didn't have the energy to go out there and push that very hard.
Sure, yeah. It must be, yeah. So who would you maybe benchmark yourselves against then?
Performance side, don't think anybody does it. I always remember after the crash, one of my colleagues who works in the PFS, he persuaded a number of wealth managers to have a Chatham House meeting, discuss what they all did in 2008.
Yeah. I
was in gilts. Everybody around the table was just looking at their mandates, which is quite a scary thought.
Yeah, wow. To be a fly on the wall in those kind of conversations would be amazing.
But I'm quite defensive.
Yeah.
Capital preservation is fundamental to what we do. I work on a very, very simple process. We've got 100 and it goes down 50%. To get back up there, you've got to grow 100%.
Sure.
It's a simple message.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting. What about, so that said then, do you have a typical client? Because obviously you talked about that couple, for example, that represented two ends of the spectrum.
I got a lovely client. I think my very first client is probably my ideal client.
Yeah.
He gave me 100k. Literally first time. What's he doing? Here's 100k, and we did really, really well. And at the end of the year, a year later, he said, "I wish I'd given you the other 100." So, and in the early days, I wasn't quite sure how to charge for the performance.
Yeah.
And I was. I thought I was taking too much. Mm. So after that year, I said, look, I'm going to give you back. I'm going to change the ratio. No. That's what we agreed, and I'm really happy with that. So that's a client who really understands what you do, values what you do, and even in the crash of 07, I only got one email from a client in the noise of 08.
Really?
Yeah. So in October 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, I got one email on the Thursday.
Wow.
And that was, so it's just quite funny because on the Monday morning I send an email to everybody and say, look, we've got a noisy week, but we're in gilts, right? And the market on the Wednesday went down 9, this is the FTSE, went down 9%, up 8%, back down 5% in a day.
Mm-hmm. I remember.
And I sent this email out, and China came in and whatever. I sent this email out to all the clients and said, well, that was a hell of a week. That was bouncing all over the place. And one of my clients came back 11 o'clock on the Thursday. It's the only email I got. May the bounce be with us. It just creased me. Made a really busy week because we couldn't do anything. You can't trade.
No, you can't. Yeah, you can't go against that kind of
so that's my idea. I think people appreciate what you do. Because what we do is actually quite tough.
Yeah.
It's responsible.
And like you say, when you've got that sort of that level of noise and chaos happening around you, to hold that sort of, to keep your nerve and keep calm and sort of just be that reassuring voice, I suppose, is almost part of the service, I suppose, isn't it?
Well, there's the, I can't remember the name of the experiment, but there's the marshmallow test. Where you actually put two marshmallows. You say you've got marshmallow in front of somebody, and you say, if you can hold off eating that marshmallow for 1 minute, we'll give you 2 marshmallows.
Yeah.
I'm the guy who could probably hold off longer than a minute.
What frustrations are you facing at the moment?
Oh, compliance. Yeah. Biggest problem, biggest challenge. Certainly in the IFA side. Mm-hmm. MiFID II, completely unthought through. If I had a chance to talk to the FCA about this, I would have a go at them, because the mixed message we're getting in the DB transfers is unbelievably complicated. I'm having compliance people telling me one thing, I'm having platform providers telling me something else. I've got my internal compliance people saying, what do we do? And so it's compliance.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Especially in the DB world.
Where are you on that? Do you do much DB transfer work?
No. It's all referrals or actually internal clients. Mm-hmm. It's not big, we have a handful a year.
Okay.
But that handful is just not worth the aggro.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Which, you mentioned platforms there, so who do you work with in terms of technology partners?
Too many.
Yeah.
Probably everybody.
Yeah?
Yeah. I bought a business 4 years ago,
Okay.
and that business was everywhere. It literally, I've forgotten counting, let's say 20 plus.
Wow. Are you looking at any kind of streamlining of that, or?
Yeah, but then you've got to say, client, why should I move you off of this particular platform to this particular platform? There's cost, there's aggro.
Let's make a case for it, yeah.
And you think, oh, it's
More
just
trouble than it's worth.
It is, I mean, you know, if there's a difference in charges, but if it's actually just making our job easier, it's a bit of a difficult one to actually sell.